Hello. Very interesting story is emerging at the moment. Now, it's got two parts to it. One part is about the information which we've been given today in the Observer, and the other part is the way this information is being processed in Parliament. So let's start off with the information itself, which is that there's a fellow called Yevgeny Murayev in the Ukraine who is being singled out by the British as a possible candidate for the Kremlin to lead the Ukraine in the event of an all-out invasion of the Ukraine or a Kremlin-backed coup against Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky was the TV star who'd played the part of a president in a TV sitcom, who then extraordinarily became the real president in the Ukraine. And because of his lack of links with traditional political activists, he's been much harder to control. And that may well be behind lots of the efforts and lots of the attacks on the Ukraine at the moment. It's very difficult to control a president who hasn't come through the traditional channels. Now, Murayev says the idea that he's singled out as a possible pro-Kremlin candidate is nonsense. But let's look at him. He's 45 years old. His father owns a television channel where he became a star called Nash. He still has strong links, of course, with Nash through his family. Last year, he set up his own party. He broke away from the pro-Russian party, and he set up his own party called Nashi, of course, linked to Nash. So Nashi, I suppose, can look upon the television channel to promote its interests. But as far as I know, Murayev is a marked man in Russia. His father's assets have been frozen, and he's been identified in Moscow as a national security risk. I don't quite see how he can go from that to being a prospective pro-Kremlin leader. Yes, a lot of his views are very similar to those views of people who are genuinely pro-Kremlin and at the moment, like a man called Medvedchuk, are under house arrest because of these views and because of their promotion of ideas that the Crimean invasion was a positive thing and so on. Medvedchuk, for example, his daughter is President Putin's goddaughter. President Putin is the godfather to Medvedchuk's daughter. There we are. And he, Medvedchuk, is under house arrest in Kiev for his links to Moscow. But that's not the position with Murayev. Maybe Murayev is being identified by the British as being a more sympathetic character in the Ukraine who will nevertheless have pro-Kremlin sympathies. I don't know. All this to oust Vladimir Zelensky, it's a bit much and it's a bit far-fetched. We know, there is one thing that that does compel interest and does make the British claim a little bit more credible, because we know that Murayev was a great ally to Viktor Yanukovych. But then, until all the political upheaval, Viktor Yanukovych was the leader of the Ukraine. Now, the other issue is how this has been done. Liz Truss is our new Foreign Secretary, and she's somebody who is being touted as a possible leader to replace Boris Johnson. And yet, Dominic Raab cannot resist edging in and stacking up his authority when it comes to anything Liz Truss is promoting. So Dominic Raab has been approving of what Liz Truss has said. Dominic Raab has been taking this story forward as if she is incapable, as if she cannot be trusted to do her job. So what are we looking at here? Liz Truss is a sort of puppet Foreign Secretary for Dominic Raab, just as the Chief Whip was clearly a puppet Chief Whip for Gavin Williamson. Go, Gavin, go! Oh, he's gone. So, in the whole story smacks of smoke and mirrors. Is it that the present government is so desperate to get a story out it's invented one, or it's going with half the facts because it's desperate to grab some headlines in the Observer rather than more headlines about Boris's parties or supposed parties, or another headline about Dominic Cummings and his various goings? I don't know. But this story seems weak at the knees. I'd love to know what you think. If you are an expert on Ukrainian politics, I'd be really interested to know. But I think, look at the story and tell me whether or not you think it's actually got any substance at all. It just seems a lot of flibbity-gibbet nonsense. Anyway, please do follow the channel, ring the bell, let me know